one of the greatest rivalries in all of college football that dates back to before college football was even a thing. The Red River Shootout, Oklahoma, Texas. What's going to happen this season? We're going to break it down for you in this episode of the Water Boys College Football Show.
All right, Strez, it is that time of year. It is my favorite time of year.
Rivalry week, baby. The battle for the Illabuck, Ohio State, Illinois. That's what we're talking about, right?
No. Although that is good. Although that is a fun one. No, as you can imagine, if you're watching this, I live in Oklahoma. I have been a Sooner fan for a long time. Spent a lot of time around the program. And there is probably no two fan bases in college football that hate each other as deeply as Oklahoma, Texas do, except for it's just this 1 week. The rest of the time, that it's a lot more Oklahoma hates Texas and probably Texas hates Oklahoma. Oklahoma gets a lot of fun out of, hating on Texas. But for this week, there's a very weird thing that happens in Dallas every year. They split a Cotton Bowl stadium at the Texas State Fair on the 50, and it's the wildest look in college.
It looks awesome.
I mean, it's wild. There's fights right there on the 50 on both sides in the stands because you got Oklahoma fans, Texas. They run out of the same tunnel, which is, I think, should be illegal.
Every week in Michigan. I hate it.
Yeah, it's so dumb. But the question that we're posing is the Red River Shootout, obviously, is this weekend. Can OU win regardless of who is at quarterback? So before I get on my high horse of why I don't think Texas has a snowball's chance in a microwave, unbiasedly, do you think Oklahoma can win this game regardless of if John Mateer is playing at quarterback?
I think that they can. In fact, I think that they will. I have been thoroughly unimpressed. The needle hasn't moved a centimeter. Texas's offense against a defense with a pulse this season has not been good. And Oklahoma has one of the best defenses in the country. Arguably the best defensive mind in the country, calling the plays for that Oklahoma defense. And if we're being honest with ourselves too, all Brent Venables and that Oklahoma's defense needs to do is watch film from week 1 and week 6 when Texas lost to Ohio State and to Florida. Yep. Which, by the way, Texas hasn't beaten a Power 4 team yet this season. Just want to throw that one out there. Oklahoma's taking care of business against the teams that they, the Power 4 teams that they've played this season. Taking care of Auburn, taking care of Michigan. Thanks, by the way. Really appreciate that you guys did that one. This game is going to ride on the back of the Oklahoma defense because I think even if John Mateer does play, it's going to be about 77, 80% of John Mateer because, I don't care how good Dr. Shen is, that surgery is still going to affect him somehow going into this week. So, but I think if he does play, it's going to give Texas something to think about. But if it is their backup, what's his name, Michael Hawkins Jr., he looked good last week or 2 weeks ago. They were off last week.
Did what he needed?
Or no, were they off 2 weeks ago and they played last week?
Yeah,
that's what it was. He looked good. He took care of business. Big arm, runs well. So if Oklahoma has to rely on that, I think that they'll be able to do that. Keep the game shortened. And just let their defense take care of business. I really do think that Oklahoma can win this one. But I also, at the same time, would not be surprised if this was the freaking game that Sark and Arch Manning went out and figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of, when it's rivalry week, specifically this game is very similar to the game up north, where you kind of get to throw out some of it on the ranking side and go, anything can happen in this game. Yep. We saw it the last 4 years with Ohio State, Michigan, where you're like, the better team did not win this football game. But I want to remind people really quickly of Brent Venables' pedigree against Texas. So for those of you that don't know, Brent Venables took over the program in Oklahoma just a few seasons ago as the head coach. But from 1999 to 2000, I think 2011 was his last year. He was the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma. Let me give you some of the points he allowed in this game as defensive coordinator at Oklahoma. 14, 3, 13, 0, 12, 15, 17. And this was people think that the Lincoln Riley era of Oklahoma was the first time that Oklahoma had high powered scoring offenses. I don't want to be the guy to like toot this horn. Oklahoma invented, as far as big boy power 5 football, they are the ones that brought high powered offense into the forefront. They took what was being done at places like Utah, Texas Tech, Washington. They took that and said, we can make this work at a blue blood program. And in some of those games, they offensively scored 63, 65, 45, 63 again. So Brent has been a part of programs that had high-powered offenses and stud defenses. This is not something that's new for him. And there have been several instances in that time where going into it, Texas was picked to win the game. There have been instances where Oklahoma was not ranked at the time of playing the game and beat a Texas team that was supposed to win. Brent Venables, for all intents and purposes, is probably going to go down when his career is over as the greatest defensive mind of the last 25 years in college football. And that defense plays at a speed and an intensity that I have not seen since Brent was back here as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I think
I think it's
bringing
wild.
up what Brent was able to do in the Red River game, you know, when he was calling the defense, is something that I don't think a lot of people think about. Because, I mean, it took Vince Young 3 shots before he finally beat Oklahoma. Vince Young, national champion, one of the greatest college football quarterbacks we have ever seen. Vince Young took him 3 before he finally beat OU. Like,
And
I'm
Brent
looking
won
at those games. Like, Vince Young's freshman season, that was the game that OU won 65-13. His sophomore season, got shut out in that game. Vince Young didn't score a point in the Red River Shootout against the Brent Venables defense in 2004. Finally won in 2005. You know, winning that one 45-12. I don't really know what happened there, but so yeah, it's just like, it's not like, and I think I mean, there are some people out there that remember the early 2000s of, you know, college football, specifically like Big 12 college football, because OU and Texas were dominating college football in the first half of the 2000s. They just were. And then the SEC kind of took over from there. People forget the kind of offenses that existed at that time. Like, they just do. And I think, like, if Brent Venables could handle that Texas defense with Vince Young at the helm, there's no reason why he won't be able to handle Arch Manning at the helm.
Yeah,
of
and
this Texas
and you
team.
know, looking, you know, through this, Brent's done it in the spread era. He's done it in the RPO era. He's coached across, you know, for a lot of people, you know, college football changed in 2012, 2013 with the RPO.
Yep.
Brent has won a ton of football games before RPO and won national championships after RPO. This game to me is going to come down to less of who is playing quarterback at Oklahoma, and it's going to come down to how frazzled can that defense make Arch Manning early in the game? And we saw it with Ohio State. We saw it with some of the teams that Texas barely beat that are like group of 5 schools.
Yeah.
If you can frustrate him early, and some of those games where they had to come back and they had to, win them down the stretch, you're not that those teams run out of steam. Oklahoma that is not going to be your option is not going to be, oh, they'll slow down at some point.
Yeah, you're playing the same type of athletes in this game. You're not playing UTEP athletes. You're not playing San Jose State athletes, Sam Houston State athletes. Like you're playing you're playing yeah. You're playing the same athletes that you have in your own locker room.
Yeah. And I think if the reports are that John Mateer told someone in a Chipotle line he's playing. I think he thinks he is. I genuinely believe that he is like, there's no way I'm not playing in this game. I came down
He's such
here.
a dog.
Yeah, there's no way when Arbuckle was like, hey, I think this is where we ought to go. The first thing in his mind wasn't, I get to play the OU Texas game.
Yeah.
Because
he's not going to be at OU next year. This is his one chance.
So
this is one shot, one opportunity to seize everything he's ever wanted in the Red River Shootout.
And he's a dog. He's going to want to play.
Swag
Brent is
tier.
going to have to handcuff him to a bleacher.
Yeah.
But if by some miracle he plays and he's only 75%, this game could get out of hand quick. Because if he can't throw, or he can't make the long throws, it's going to be intermediate routes. That's fine, because we really haven't been able to figure out a running game without him anyway. We brought Jay Knott in, and that was supposed to be awesome, and he's not done what he should have done for a guy that we paid that much money. But I think the game comes down to can Oklahoma's defense frustrate Arch Manning? And my answer is yes. Because nobody they have played, including Ohio State, has a defense as seasoned as Oklahoma's does. Ohio State, that was first game of the year.
That was the first game in that system.
Yeah,
for that defense.
Didn't even he probably learned halfway through that game, hey, I got this, I can. They're a better defense now than they were the very first game.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's defense has done the same thing, gotten better as the week went. And for all intents and purposes, Bryce Underwood has looked better than Arch Manning has.
That's not saying
by
much.
A lot.
No.
But, he can get out with his legs, and, they are about the same as far as the way they look.
Bryce is probably faster than Arch, but they both are a threat on their feet.
Yeah.
Both have
trouble, in the passing game. Great arm, long.
Yeah.
Weird.
Everything's a fastball.
Yeah. Weird, can't throw a post, how, type of deal. So I just don't think that that's going to matter at all. And if Mateer can even come in and play 75%, I think they might win it by 14. I think if all Hawkins has got to do is come in and game manage.
Yeah, just don't turn the ball over and take what the defense gives you. Play like Julian Sayin did in week 1 if you're Michael Hawkins Jr. and John Mateer isn't playing in this game. And then when it's time, when you're going to run a +1 run game where you incorporate, it's a designed quarterback run, and you've got 10 blockers for the quarterback instead of only 9 for the running back. Make it count. Hurt him with it.
He's fast. He
fast. Can move. He can play. He can play ball now. So yeah, but at the same time, like I said, I feel it almost feels like. I'll talk in favor for Texas for just a second here. I think Texas was thinking after week 1, they were like, well, I mean, Steve Sarkisian said it this week. Ask anybody to go into Ohio State and the swamp and tell me how easy it is, right? But I'm thinking that Texas was probably like, well, yeah, this team just won the national championship. This is the second time they beat us in the year 2025. Whatever, let's move on. And then they went
And
on and rattled off 3 straight
Flagler
wins.
left Florida, but they brought a lot of guys back. So you're looking at those two as like, hey,
Yeah.
or not Lagway, but you know what? Whoever Florida had 2 years, a lot of people coming back for Florida. You looked at those two games and thought,
Right. But I think, I think that Florida game shocked them a little bit.
yeah,
And I think there might be a chance that there was something that woke up in Steve Sarkisian. I know Arch Manning was very frustrated. He gets frustrated super easily for a guy who seems pretty even keeled, for the most part. And so there is a part of this game that makes me think like, well, I would assume that Texas, they're playing for their season. If they lose one more game, they're done. They're not making the college football playoff because they won't be making the SEC championship. If you lose 3 games and you don't win your conference championship, you don't get in. That's just how the 12 team works. I mean, that's how it worked the 1 year that we've had it so far. But it's looking like that's going to be the cutoff again this year. One loss might be the cutoff this year. How many undefeated teams there are in college football right now? So Texas is playing for the rest of they're playing for their season. It's a rivalry game. Sark is probably tired of hearing everybody say the things that they're saying about him. He's going to let it like open everything up that he's got available in that playbook. I would probably set the over under for trick plays for Texas's offense at 5.5, and I would probably take the over on that. Like I can see Texas doing everything that they have in their ability to do in this football game to try to make it swing in their favor.
yep,
And in those kinds of games, it is imperative that your guy is quarterback and is leading your team. And I still think John Mateer can lead the team from the sideline. I mean, he had to basically get the ball taken away from him at practice last week because he was like wanting to throw, he was wanting to throw at practice. And it's like, dude, you just had surgery 4 days ago. Drop the football, like step away from the field. So he's definitely a leader. He's going to get the team ready to go, whether he's playing or not. And I think that OU needs to attack this week. The only people that needs to know that John Mateer's not playing football this weekend, if he's not going, is Brent Venables, Ben Arbuckle, and Michael Hawkins Jr. and John Mateer. It needs to be those 4 guys. Those are the only 4 people that know that John Mateer isn't playing this week. If I'm Oklahoma, because the whole team needs to be preparing like their guy's going to go. Defense needs to be preparing like their guy's going to go because there's an added confidence when you know your quarterback's got you. Like that's how I think that OU needs to attack this week. And for Texas, like they have to attack this week. Our season's on the line. Like this is a must win. OU can afford to lose this game. Their quarterback's out. They're a top 6 team. They haven't lost a game yet this season. They can afford to lose this game. Texas cannot afford to lose this game.
no. And as bad as Oklahoma has looked, last 4 seasons have been up and down, up and down, up and down. 2021, Oklahoma wins 55-48. 2022, Texas wins 49-0. They love to bring that one up. If you're around here for more than 5 minutes, they'll bring it up. 2023, Oklahoma was ranked 12. Texas ranked 3. 2023, Oklahoma wins 34-30. And then last year, behind Jackson Arnold, maybe the worst quarterback in the last 15 years to come through Oklahoma, Texas wins 34-3. He split these games, really.
Yeah. And that Texas team was really good last year.
Yeah. So, and I'm not just being an Oklahoma homer. I think it sticks in Texas fans' craw that they're going, are you kidding me? They lost their head coach. They had a record number of transfers and injuries over the last couple of years after Lincoln left. The program was in shambles. And it only took you a few years to get that thing back to national, contention, to be in conversations as one of the best teams in the country, as one of the best teams in the SEC.
Undefeated top 10.
Yeah.
Heisman front runner.
If you're a Texas fan, it doesn't seem fair.
Yeah.
It's a little bit how Bills fans, I'm sure, feel today. When you go, Patriots haven't sucked for long enough, that's not fair.
Yeah, now they have their next quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think, and if you're Sark, the only thing that I will say that gives me a little bit of, I want to see how he handles it when put in pressure situations. Steve Sarkisian has not coached well
Yeah.
against teams that are matched skill set and player wise.
Yeah. And the best
And
coaches
now,
rise to the top in these
yeah,
situations.
and now he's got the added pressure of, we paid this kid a lot of money in Arch to come here, and you haven't developed him. If on the back of that, then you lose to Oklahoma with or without their starting quarterback, because if it's with starting quarterback, you lost to a guy who just had hand surgery 2 weeks ago. If it's without him, you just
Lose.
lost to a guy who has been in the program a couple years and never won the starting job. That's a lot of pressure. And Texas is one of those schools that if it starts to look bad quick, the
They'll pull the trigger.
conversation will start.
They'll pull the trigger.
And he has not looked good in the games that he's supposed to look good in, and they've barely beat some teams that they should have absolutely just dog thumped.
Yeah, I mean, 38-7 over San Jose State, 27-10 over UTEP. Like,
And that game tied at halftime?
UTEP was leading at one point, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. So
yeah.
I think Oklahoma has no pressure on them at all in this game.
No. Yeah, because like I said, they can afford to lose this one. They might not have their starting quarterback. It's technically a neutral site, but it's in Dallas.
They don't feel like one when you go.
That's true. When you look at the photos, that's true. But yeah, I think, they know that Texas is coming off of a loss at Florida last week. So they know that Texas is going to be swinging as hard as they can, So there no pressure on Oklahoma. All of the pressure for the Steve Sarkisian's future at Texas, for their college football playoff hopes still, which, I mean, I still have a lot of questions looking at the rest of their schedule. And just like the Texas fan base in general, that's all the pressure. All the pressure is on them.
And Oklahoma's got a ton of big football games left this year. They still have one of the hardest schedules for the second year in a row. They have one of the hardest schedules in the entire country. If they win this game and they somehow pull it out with a backup quarterback, and now you're going into the South Carolina game and you probably have your starting quarterback back, the SEC gets even weirder by week 9.
Yeah.
Like, it gets real funky.
Yeah.
So
that Ole Miss OU game will be
wild.
Real fun if it holds the way that it is right now.
Yeah, and the LSU game may not matter. A hill of beans. That was the one I was looking forward to the most this entire season.
Yeah, I think
are you kidding
LSU is going to be able to still take care of business, I think, but it's going to be – they're not going to be 11-0 like I thought they were going to be going into that football game, because they've got South Carolina this week, and then Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Alabama, Arkansas at OU to finish out the season. That Arkansas game's a rivalry game too. So
that's true. That is true. Let us know in the comments what you think of the Oklahoma-Texas game. Can Oklahoma win this game with or without John Mateer? If John Mateer is healthy, what does that mean for this game? If he's not healthy, what does that mean for this game? Also, make sure that you subscribe to us here on YouTube, or if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, we appreciate you so very much. Thank you for all of that. And make sure that you tune in every single Saturday during college football season, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. for the Waterboys College Football pregame show, fan-driven college football pregame show. We're adding celebrity pickers. We're using that word very differently.
Very loosely.
Yeah. By celebrity, we're all a big fan of my wife. She was the first guest picker that we had on the show. But we do have some other guest lines up. They're going to do some guest picking. And would love for you to tune in 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on YouTube or on X. You can catch us there as well. And we will catch you on the next one.